Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible transformation stories in all of spiritual history, the life of Milarepa. This is the story of a man who went from being a vengeful, dark magician to becoming one of Tibet's most revered saints. And that really brings us to the central, almost unbelievable question of his life, doesn't it? I mean, how on earth does a mass murderer become a beloved saint? Well, that's the wild story we're about to get into.
To really understand the saint, we have to start with the sinner. Milarepa's journey to the dark side all began with a terrible betrayal when he was just a kid, a betrayal that was fueled by his own mother's burning demand for revenge.
You know, his story starts out so full of hope. He was born Milarepa, a name that means Mila, who is a joy to hear. And for a while, he had a really happy childhood with his family. But that joy, well, it wasn't going to last. When Milarepa was just 7 years old, his father died. And in an act of just shocking cruelty, his own aunt and uncle swooped in and stole the entire family fortune. They forced Milarepa, his mother, and his little sister into brutal servitude, basically turning them into slaves on their own land. So that one act of betrayal kicked off this terrible chain of events. Absolutely consumed by bitterness, Milarepa's mother sent him away with one single chilling command: learn black magic and get our revenge. And he turned out to be a natural. He came back ready to unleash total devastation. And the revenge he took, it was staggering. He used a powerful spell to make his uncle's house collapse right in the middle of a wedding party, killing 37 people inside. Then, just to make sure, he conjured a massive hailstorm that wiped out the entire village's harvest. His mother got her wish.
But any satisfaction he felt from that revenge, it vanished almost instantly. And this, right here, is the turning point of the whole story. Milarepa was suddenly slammed with the crushing weight of what he'd actually done.
That initial pride he felt in his power just dissolved, and in its place was this deep, overwhelming remorse. He finally understood that he had created a horrific karmic debt for himself, a debt that would haunt him for lifetimes unless he did something drastic. And this regret wasn't just a feeling, it became the fuel for his complete transformation. Terrified by what he'd done, he set off on a brand new mission. He wasn't looking for revenge anymore, he was desperately searching for a teacher who could show him how to purify his soul. His search eventually led him to a master named Marpa the Translator. But let me tell you, Marpa was not your average, gentle teacher, and the path to redemption was going to be anything but easy. This next part of his life is all about these grueling, almost impossible trials. Marpa's methods were intense. For his first task, he ordered Milarepa to build a 9-story stone tower all by himself with his bare hands. But every single time he got close to finishing, Marpa would come out, find some imaginary fault, and order him to tear the whole thing down, stone by stone, and start all over again. So you've got to be asking, why? Why be so harsh? Well, what looked like cruelty was actually an act of incredible compassion. Marpa knew just how heavy Milarepa's negative karma was. Every single stone he lifted, every drop of sweat, it was all a physical and mental process of purification, breaking down his ego and cleaning the deep stains of his past. After years of these back-breaking trials, after being pushed to the absolute edge of despair, Milarepa was finally accepted as a student. His incredible perseverance paid off, and it led to one of the most remarkable spiritual achievements in the history of Tibet. So after Marpa gave him the complete teachings, Milarepa went to live and meditate alone in the freezing caves of the Himalayas. This is when he became known as Milarepa, which means Mila, the cotton-clad one. Why? Because he wore nothing but a single, thin, white cotton robe as a sign of his mastery over his body's internal heat. And the result of all that dedication is just astonishing. After 12 years of solitary, hardcore practice, he accomplished what almost no one ever does. He reached complete, total enlightenment, all within a single lifetime. He had completely purified his past. So how did he share this incredible wisdom he'd found? Not through complicated books or lectures. He sang. Milarepa became famous for his spontaneous songs, these beautiful, incredibly clear poems that express the deepest truths of existence, which he would just sing to anyone who came to listen. Milarepa didn't just change himself. He became this pivotal figure whose teachings would shape Tibetan Buddhism for centuries. He passed his wisdom down through an entire lineage of incredible students.
This timeline really helps put his story into perspective. Look at this. He was born in 1052, but he doesn't even meet Marpa until he's 38 years old. His whole life of destruction was already behind him. And then he doesn't even start teaching until he's 45. It just shows you what a long, difficult path of purification this truly was.
He ended up attracting countless disciples, all drawn by his authentic wisdom. His main student was a man named Gampopa, who became his spiritual successor and made sure that Milarepa's teachings wouldn't die with him.
And this right here shows you Milarepa's crucial place in history. He's a key link in what's known as the Golden Rosary lineage. It's a perfect chain. He got the teachings from his master, Marpa, perfected them through his own intense practice, and then passed them on to his successor, Gampopa, creating this unbroken line of wisdom that continues to this very day.
So in the end, Milarepa's journey from murderer to saint is this powerful testament to our own capacity for change. His story isn't just about some guy who lived 1,000 years ago. It really forces us to look inward and ask ourselves, right? What are the towers? The towers of our pride, our resentment, our bad habits that we need to build and then find the courage to tear down in our own lives?